Functions are another way to automate repetition in JavaScript. In this reading, I'll teach you enough about functions so that you understand some basics of the function syntax and are able to code simple functions on your own. Let's dive right in. A function is a machine. Metaphors are highly effective in knowledge transfer. So, at the risk of not being completely technically correct, let's look at our first metaphor. In JavaScript, functions are machines. What is a machine? Consider this image of a simplified bottle capping machine. Let's describe the machine. What does this machine do? A bottle capping machine puts caps on bottles, has two inputs, bottles and caps, and combines its inputs and produces an output, a bottle with a cap on it. This machine has some sort of instructions and performs some work according to these instructions. Now, based on this description of the machine, I can put it in a diagram. How would we describe the above machine with the help of this diagram using JavaScript? Actually, it's very easy. We'll just use the labels from the diagram to convert what is being explained in it into code. Let's begin by mapping the labels to actual code. As shown in this image, it's really straightforward to map the labels from the diagram to JavaScript code. But what if you are trying to explain this to somebody who's never seen any JavaScript code? Well, in that case, we can just take things a bit slower and describe everything that's happening. Let's start with this code that says function, bottle capper, open and close parentheses, open and close curly braces, and inside the curly braces, the return keyword. So let's go through it together. We'll start with the word function. Reserved keywords are those words that JavaScript reserves for its own use. Examples of such words are var, if, function, return, true, false, let, const, etc. So what we did in the diagram was, we translated the word machine from the initial diagram to the word function in the JavaScript language. Let's move on to this second word, bottle capper. This is the name of our machine, that is, the name of our function. A function is named using a camel case. A function name can begin with letters, underscores, and dollar signs. A function name can contain letters, underscores, dollar signs, and numbers. Next, let's discuss these parentheses characters. They are also referred to as round brackets, and these parentheses are used in several ways in JavaScript. The one that we care about in the context of this lesson is parentheses hold the, so to say, raw materials that our quote-unquote machine takes. In other words, parentheses hold the inputs that our function expects. A function can take 0 or more parameters. If you're the one defining the function, then it's up to you how many parameters you're gonna give it. The curly brackets. These are also known as braces, and they hold the list of instructions for our machine. They basically tell our function what to output. We can choose what our function outputs using the return keyword. The curly braces and the code inside of them are referred to as a block of code. A block of code usually spans several lines. Note that a function will always return something. If you use the return keyword, it will return whatever value you tell it to return. If you omit the return keyword, the function will return the value of undefined. Defining a function versus calling a function. There are two concepts related to functions in JavaScript that we need to understand completely before even starting to code. They are function declaration and function execution. Declaring a function in JavaScript. Just like a real machine, a JS function usually gets built once, but it gets run many, many times. When we build a function, we say that we have coded a function definition. Sometimes, a function definition is referred to as a function declaration or a function signature. There are different ways that people refer to this, but practically it's the same thing. We are defining a function, that is, building our own, so to say, quote-unquote, machine. Executing a function in JavaScript. This is something referred to as calling a function or running a function. How are these two concepts different? It's simple. To declare a function means to build a machine. To run a function means to run the machine. Declaring a function means setting it up, defining the inputs, the raw materials it will use, and specifying the steps the machine needs to take to produce the output. We also specify whether or not we want to explicitly return a custom output or just the value of undefined. Running a function is as if we pressed the on button on our machine and got it working. Here is a diagram of the difference between the two concepts. Now we are ready to simulate our simplified bottle capping machine in JavaScript. We will order our computer using JavaScript to do the following. 1. Build a machine and call it bottle capper. 2. The machine should take two inputs, a bottle and a cap. And 3. When I run it, it should return the bottle and cap together. Here is this description translated into code. Function, bottle capper, open parentheses, bottle, comma, cap, close parentheses, then an open curly brace for the code block, and inside of it the return value of bottle plus cap, and of course a closing curly brace. As you've already learned, the plus operator acts in two different ways. 1. It adds two numbers together, and 2. It concatenates or joins two strings together. How to run a function. In the code that's shown on the screen, we've, so to say, built our machine. That is, we've defined our function. Now's the time to run it. To run the machine, we need to turn it on and give it the raw materials to use. So, in a way, you can think of this process of turning it on by simply referencing the function's name. So I'm going to type bottle capper. To run the machine, we give it the raw materials inside parentheses. In this case, inside parentheses, I'm going to give it two string values separated with a comma. The first string value is going to be green bottle, and the second string value is going to be white cap. Putting it together, this is how we will run a function. That's all there is to it. We've successfully simulated a simple machine in JavaScript. However, there are still a few more concepts we need to understand. The first one is the difference between function parameters and function arguments in JavaScript. What is the difference between function parameters and function arguments in JavaScript? Parameters are simply something that you can think of as slots, the placeholders for inputs that a function should receive. Arguments are the specific values of JavaScript data types that we give those slots when we run a function. That's it for this lesson. In the next one, I'll show you how functions work with various JavaScript data types.